This is unusual, but I want to begin by talking about our sponsor, Ecamm. So first, we are sponsored by Ecamm, your Max Creative Studio. And you'll notice here, we are in our studio. It fits like an old glove, but there's something maybe that you don't notice that I'm going to talk about in a second. Now, I just want to say that we are beginning the show with this ad, not because Ecamm told us to, but because Ecamm is just that good. It literally is just that good. And when I was thinking of pre-shows, Ecamm was the only thing that could come to my mind. I literally could not come up with a better start to the show. And that's because we are in the middle of a studio upgrade this week. So we're back in the studio, but things are changing. We're going to come back to that. And so one of the things that we talked about, we had Doc on the show last week. He came over to Seattle. He was here for the Seattle Creator Summit. Thank you, Doc, for coming, by the way. And he talked a little bit about Ecamm's rebrand. Before they were Ecamm Live, now they're just Ecamm proper. In the past, you've heard me say that Ecamm Live is your Max live streaming studio, but now it's your Max Creative Studio. And there's a reason for that. Because, and Doc said that he pushed for this, and so credit to him where credit is due. We have seen Ecamm's flexibility. They are more than just a live streaming software. They're a great live streaming software, don't get me wrong, but they have done so much for this. And I just want to list some of the things that we have used Ecamm for in the last 6 months. Not even 6 months, last 4 months. Honestly, last 3 months. The first thing we did was a cooking live show on Benjiman TV using DJI gear. I don't want you to get too excited about that because we're going to talk about that later in the show, but there's a reason to get excited about that. It has basically gotten so easy that you've been able to go live twice a week, every week since the beginning that we started that show. Not exactly, but just about. It's the easiest live streaming setup that we've ever done, and you're setting it up in your home, in your kitchen.
In 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes. The second thing that we've done, only once so far, but we plan on doing this more, is a mobile live interview show for this channel using the same setup with just a couple of tweaks. Still coming, but like crazy that we can take that simple setup and do it and deploy it on the road. It's awesome. The third thing is that we use this, you, Neutrally, and it was a Guy and Cameron that were all doing this, set it up to record your daughter's play at a school, which is just amazing. So like you weren't even going live in that scenario. You had a whole special setup, multiple cameras, and you used it to record. By the way, I watched a little piece of it this morning. An incredible looking play. Actually, do you have a comment on that? Because like I think you were blown away with that piece.
Yeah, well, I mean, shout out to everyone that was in the play. It was amazing. The director is top notch, and just because it's kids, maybe people assume it's like, you know, like kind of amateur hour. No, this is like pro level.
Yeah.
But to be able to capture it, not only with ObSpots, which shout out to ObSpots for sending these cameras, but also using Ecamm, because last time we spent 2 weeks editing it.
Yeah.
But it was edited right away.
Yes.
And it gave us every camera's angle as an ISO recording, so we can switch it out if the director wants it, which he's actually doing right now. So he's probably going to end up taking 2 weeks. But yeah, we captured it, and it looked very pro. And it was funny because I was watching with my family literally after we got home from the play. Now that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Because we waited 2 weeks to watch it last time.
Yeah.
It was right away, and it was because of Ecamm.
And you know, the amazing thing to me is that we were able to deploy it in that kind of in a moment's notice, just because we were so confident in it. And you know, that's not the only thing we did, because I just said we came back from the Seattle Creator Summit and we were able to use a similar setup there in order to capture some of the things that we wanted to capture as well. And finally, that brings us to the thing we're doing right now, which is that we are running the Creator Secrets podcast using ObSbots, Rodecaster 2s, all of the sort of normal bits and pieces that we would normally use for our professional studio setup, but through Ecamm Live, because it is just that good. It scales from the simplest setup that we are going to talk about again later in the show to some of the most complex setups that we could possibly think of. And we were just talking about another setup that we could possibly use with this, using even another set of cameras that we have. And so I don't know, thinking about the breadth of the uses that we have, I'm just going to go through them again. Cooking live on Benjiman TV, mobile interview show for Creator Secrets, play recording for your daughter, capturing the Seattle Creator Summit live, Creator Secrets podcast setup using ObSbots, etc. What comes to mind when you hear just the breadth of things that we've been able to use Ecamm for, and how it unlocks all of those things for us that we were not able to do before we started using Ecamm?
Oh, it just makes it easy to do a lot of things. You know, as a creator, especially when you're starting out, I always suggest stick to one platform, stick to one format, get comfortable with it. But what is like the Gary Vaynerchuk advice? Go on everything, do as much as you possibly can. And the thing is this, that is very difficult to do, especially as a beginner. But what I love about Ecamm, it lets you be in one place in terms of production and do all of these things. I mean, just the big thing that I like is that I can do a dual stream, both horizontal and vertical. You guys might be watching this either in the horizontal live stream on YouTube or in the vertical version on the Shorts tab. Okay. Just from one place. There's one person's running all of this right now. Shout out to Nouch. Okay. So the reason I bring that up is because then you can do two things at once and it's not going to affect me as a creator. And like you said, you can also produce with it. So you can do real live shooting, editing, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's just awesome. By the way, what's going on right now?
This is amazing. I'm sorry to interrupt in the middle of this. This is the amazing thing about Ecamm. Yeah. Every single time, first of all, it's so easy to use, right? That's one thing. It's so easy to use that you can just get started with the simplest setup that you possibly can. But every single time we use it, it's like we discover a new feature that like unlocks another thing. What Nouch is doing live now, we didn't realize this because they try and make it easy. In a traditional software, you can have like a preview and like something that's live. Well, of course, the normal person isn't going to want to be fiddling with their preview before, and they're just going to have everything built up. But guess what? If you have a producer like Nouch, he's going to want to build things in the background. So we were poking around like, okay, can we do this? Well, we just didn't prioritize it. Nouch is now building our show live in a preview monitor in front of us.
That wasn't, okay, I was worried that he was all being janky and like doing, he knows I don't like that. One of my things, like once we start the show, that's
just got to commit.
Again, so going back to Ecamm, the amount of things that you can do with it, obviously live streaming is a big one, but then the production, but then all the different tools. I would argue there's not a lot of people using Ecamm the way we are. Now, I would say for sure, part of it is because we are working with Ecamm and we're running this Ferrari, literally pedal to metal. What's the fastest a Ferrari can go? 200 miles per hour. But I've been using Ecamm way before we worked with Ecamm. So shout out to this amazing team and software that makes it so easy. Because if you go back into my history, my first live streams were done with a thing called Blog TV. Yeah, and it literally looked like when people like say webcam level like broadcasting, that's the epitome of it. It was like literally a square box. And that's all you could do. It was really crappy, but we used it and there was a lot of headaches and everything since then has been except this. So
I mean, if you guys don't feel it yet, we are so jazzed about Ecamm that we could riff on this for literally the rest of the 2 hours of this show. But I just wanted to start because this is really the mark of a new era. Easter just happened, right? New beginnings. And so here, if you want to see how it works for yourself, you should start a free trial using the link in the show notes and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first bill. It's not just your first month. Doc pointed this out last week that if you buy a year, you get 15% off of the entire year, not just the first month. So really, you should take advantage of that and commit. If you really think this is good, it's worth it to buy in that year chunk using our code BenjiTV15 and the link in the show notes.
Can I say just one more thing?
Please.
We just had the Seattle Creator Summit, super successful. Everyone had so much, takeaways and felt inspired and motivated, which I love. But one of the themes, I think generally speaking, I'm always saying you think longer, right? Longer forms of content on all platforms, including like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, not just YouTube. You need to think longer about your brand deals, but the ultimate longer in terms of content is live streams. Yes. So that's why I reached out to Ecamm to work with them. That's why I am live streaming more than I ever have, because I think with so much competition, you guys know it seems like harder to get your videos to get viewed with AI content, AI slop out there, all that's competing for the viewer's attention. And the thing is this, even if you're in a different niche, it doesn't matter because people get distracted all the time. The one thing that AI and most other creators can't do is live stream for a long period of time. And if you want to get good at that, you got to start practicing right now. Just like when I talk about vlogging, right? My phase one of the new vlog method, the Vlogging Academy that I teach, what I do as a vlogger, you have to do a lot. So
Yes.
live streaming is a way. There's no better way to do it. Now, hey, just to be frank, you don't have to wait for a software. If you want to go live on your phone, on whatever platform, great. You should start doing that right now. If you want to be able to go live on all your platforms that you have, both horizontal and vertical right now, well, then Ecamm is the only way that I personally know how to do it this seamlessly.
Thank you so much to Ecamm for creating such an incredible tool, first of all, and also for sponsoring our show. We're going to go ahead and get into some follow-up here, but I just want to quickly shout out Axel1334 in the chat because they asked for a shout out. And also, if you can, go ahead and like this stream for us. That way we can get a little bit more promotion. Let's get to some follow-up now. One of the things we talked about a few episodes ago was that Matt Broussard, your friend, cooking creator on TikTok, had a 10x revenue increase on TikTok with fewer views than before, and he was kind of attributing it to the American ownership. Now, the thing that we talked about is that actually what happened is that TikTok went from the creator fund, which was a fixed pool of money that was split up a bunch of creators, to the creator rewards program, which was a much bigger thing, which was kind of like a revenue share similar to AdSense on YouTube. One of the things that you asked were for some of the numbers about what YouTube was doing in comparison to some of those. So just to go back really quick, and I'm pulling it up now, the CPM, or the average amount that you get paid for the creator fund, was between 2 cents and 4 cents for every 1,000 views, which is like nothing, right? With the new program, it was like from 40 cents to $1, which was anywhere from a 10 to 25x increase. AdSense, on average, is about double or triple that even. So you're still getting paid better on YouTube for every 1,000 views than you would on TikTok, which totally makes sense to me. And I just wanted to bring that up on the show because that was one of the things that you had asked, Benji.
Yeah, I mean, that's why YouTube is the all-time greatest when it comes to monetization through passive ad income.
Yes.
I mean, this is why so many people aspire to be on YouTube. They think it's because that's where all the biggest influencers are, where the creators, end up being. But the reason they're there is because the AdSense is so good. And if you get a lot of views because you've got a large audience, of course, it's nice to get that paycheck. Even the biggest live streaming stars, IRL, Kai Cenat, iShowSpeed, they put their live stream content onto YouTube because, again, you can't beat that machine.
Yeah.
And so it has nothing to do with brands and brand deals or even like the audience as much, because the audience are on TikTok.
Totally.
They are on Instagram. They're on other platforms. It's just the fact that if your audience is on YouTube and they're watching your content, you can make money off of it. So it doesn't surprise me. What surprises me more that it was so bad for so long, even that small jump from like 2 to 10 cents to, would you say 40 to 50 cents?
40 cents to $1.
40 cents a dollar on TikTok in terms of the revenue for them is significant for people to get excited about, which again, just shows you why YouTube is very special. And it's not like everyone's going to be able to make a full-time living off of it, depending on how many views you get and the type of content you have, because advertisers pay differently, dependent on the audiences you have. But still, it's unbeaten, and this is why everyone should at least give YouTube a try.
Yeah, and actually, you bring up the different audiences. I had a little piece of data on that when it comes to YouTube, and I actually just realized that I did my math wrong at the very beginning in terms of like the multiplier, because if it's up to $1 on TikTok, it's actually anywhere between $5 and $7 per 1,000 views on YouTube on average. That's across the board.
Crazy.
So that's like 5 to almost 10 times or 20 times depending on where you go. So it's like before, the experience that TikTokers had going from the old ad model to the new one, they could experience that again by going to YouTube on long form, which really ends up being something like a 400 or 500x increase from their original experience, which is insane.
I
to
love
think about.
how you just totally like rained on their parade. They're all excited about their TikTok income going up, 10x. And you're like, oh, hey, by the way, on YouTube, you could have got paid way more. And so, and I wonder though, that's long form AdSense or just in general, that's not short form.
Yeah, and actually from what I saw, and I don't have a ton of research on this, but from what I saw, YouTube Shorts actually pays worse than TikTok does now because they're still using the old model.
So you have to be fair and you have to bring that up because
Totally.
the thing is this. We're talking about TikTok, which obviously is generally short form vertical content. And so the equal to that on YouTube is YouTube Shorts. TikTok right now is paying more than YouTube Shorts is. The point we're trying to make is just as a platform overall. And of course, most people know it for long form. You're still getting way more. I think that it's exciting though for TikTokers that
totally
they're finally making some money,
Totally.
right? And you don't have to sell a product. You don't have to do TikTok shop or even get a brand deal. You can make some money from the actual views and that TikTok's actually sharing. And who knows who made the decision and why. Point is, if you've got an audience on TikTok, it might be a good time to double down and triple down, which going back to Matt, that's what he's been doing. And
Exactly.
he's been getting a ton of views. And that's the thing. Normally we keep people's, income private when they share it with us. He's like openly posting it on Threads. So this is something that probably isn't just unique to him. I'm sure other TikTok creators are making more money now.
Yeah, and we'll go into some of those niche breakdowns in another show. I think it's not worth getting into right now, but I agree with you 100%. Let's get into some topics because there was a big piece of news this week, and I want to start with a clip that explains it, which happened way, way further back. Now, the clip I'm about to show you is of Jack Dorsey, who was Twitter's founder, CEO for a very long period of time. He's huge in the social media space because of his impact early on, and this is what he had to say.
This is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I think the free speech debate is a complete distraction right now. I think the real debate should be about free will. And we feel it right now because we are being programmed. We're being programmed based on what we say we're interested in. And we are told through these discovery mechanisms what is interesting. And as we engage and interact with this content, the algorithm continues to build more and more of this bias. But the algorithm, even if it's open source, is effectively a black box. You cannot predict 100% of the time how it's going to work, what it's going to show you, and it can be moved and changed at any time.
Yeah, so basically what he was saying is that when you post on social media, when we watch social media, these algorithms that control social media, he says, are programming us. Kind of like you maybe heard way back in the day with TV, but basically that we don't know the impacts of what social media are doing to us because the algorithms are so powerful and so good at what they do. Before I continue and get to the big news, I want to hear what your reactions are to Jack Dorsey's kind of warning.
And his warning being, you have to just be aware that the algorithm it could be manipulating you. It could be sending you a certain direction. And also it's unpredictable.
Yeah. And one of the things that you brought up in the past that he actually says here is that like the free speech debate, he says, is sort of a red herring. It's really a free will debate.
Yeah. And I guess you could take two examples and show them side by side. Who's a freedom of speech, country? It's the USA. So we talk about how, being able to speak your mind and share your message is really important. This is why I believe YouTube is so successful here in the States, because you would like to think that the government's letting you just like speak your mind and speak your piece or whatever.
Yes.
But there is still an algorithm that is controlled by humans and computers to a certain degree and is influenced by the audience. And then at the very end of the day, what do platforms want you to do? They are trying to get you there, keep you there, and bring you back there. So that's not always like a good perspective of what is going on in the world in terms of different messages. On the flip side of it, let's talk about China, a communist country. They do control speech. Okay, it's not a freedom of speech, place, but at the same time, what they're famous for, like getting more educational content to their people, right? Getting more technical, art kind of stuff in front of their youth or whatever. That's just what I've heard. But the point is they're clearly controlling it. I think the more simple conversation though about an algorithm is at the end of the day, it's really just catered to you and wherever your brain lets that algorithm take you.
Yes.
Okay. So, freedom of speech, I believe it's important. I'm like a U.S. citizen. I love America. I think that's why it's the First Amendment, right? And that's why we have the Second Amendment to protect the First Amendment. It's that important. But you can't rely on just one platform to like get you your information, or you as a creator believe that that platform is going to let you get out there. And that's why you got to be creative and use your imagination whenever you're trying to like get some message out there. And then the second thing is, if you're staying in one place, it's very dangerous. And this is why you have to go to different places, get your news source. You know, I love watching the news.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things in the world going on. And I had this perspective of what was happening, right? And so what I do, I go to a more conservative news channel. And then on the flip side, I went to a more liberal news channel. And then I get what I thought was middle ground news on YouTube, right? All of them were completely different messaging, right?
Yeah.
Different perspectives. You'd believe they were like reporting on the news, but clearly that's a good example. Like I go on one side, I go, oh, I can see that person. Oh, I guess that's what's happening. Then I go to the other side, I'm like, that's actually a compelling argument or perspective too. And you think these are news sources. So they're not supposed to have a narrative or whatever or messaging, but they clearly are, because they're almost like opposing forces, which that's no secret. But anyways, again, if I didn't go out of my way and be purposeful about like where I'm going to get my information, I could think like this is the only truth in the world. And so that's just an algorithm. And that's why people that don't understand an algorithm and don't understand the goal of the platform, they think they know the truth. And this is why people got so extreme and emotional about their position on whatever it is. It could be politics, it could be society, it could be like even how you raise your kids. And you're literally never hearing from the other side because you don't even know it exists. You just think your whole world. That's why like in the last 10 years, people feel like their family and friends have changed. And they have changed because they're on social media and it's changing how they think and their perspective of the world. Okay, all that being said, I think what Jack Dorsey is trying to say is just be careful about trusting an algorithm and a platform.
Yeah, and I agree. And the reason I bring it up is because of something that happened last week. So here's some reporting from Lauren Feiner at The Verge, who says, the jury in a landmark trial testing claims about social media addiction against Meta's Instagram and Google's YouTube determined that the two companies failed to warn users about the risks of using their products. The jury found that the company's negligence was a substantial factor in harms like mental health issues sustained by a now 20-year-old woman, Kaylee GM, who used Instagram and YouTube. The jury ordered both companies to pay a total of $3 million in compensatory damages, with Meta responsible for 70% of that balance, according to jurors' responses shared by a firm representing plaintiffs, including Kaylee. Jurors found that the punitive damages were warranted, and they'll deliberate further on the appropriate amount to the award. 10 jurors answered in favor of the plaintiff on each of the questions they were asked to decide, including whether Meta and YouTube were negligent and a substantial factor in the harm she experienced, according to a firm representing the plaintiff. During the trial, Kaylee and her therapist testified about her struggles with body dysmorphia and compulsive use of the platforms. 2 jurors favored the defense, but the verdict did not require a unanimous decision. Long story short, landmark trial last week in which social media platforms lost a case about the effects of their products on people. Now, in the past, this has not been the case because of something called Section 230. We won't get into it now. Basically, it's a free speech argument for the internet. This is a different argument. It's that the products themselves, the way that they're designed, have negative impacts. And what these are called right now, this happened in LA Superior Court. These are now called bellwether suits, in that these are the first suits that are being taken. There was another one that concluded against the social media companies in New Mexico. These are going to be replicated across the country by tons and tons of plaintiffs, by every single state in the country overall. I'm curious about your reactions when you hear that news.
I'm always on the side of personal responsibility, you know? I was listening to a podcast called the All In Podcast with a bunch of billionaires talking about this. And of course, one of those billionaires was one of the, I'm not original founders of Facebook, because that was Mark Zuckerberg, but he was one of the early investors into Facebook. So he has kind of an understanding and awareness about like how these platforms work, what the algorithm's for. But, you know, they from their perspective, from the, you know, Silicon Valley perspective, of course they're going to give you what you want to watch, which that's what we just got talking about. The algorithm just feeds you more of what you want. But you've got to also at the same time as the viewer, right, or the consumer, know that, okay? You make the choice to turn on the phone, pick the app, and then watch whatever you watch. So I think that it's very dangerous because now, like, this could open up the liability for really anything, any kind of app, right? Like, are you going to put something in the beginning of an app that says, hey, this could become addictive? I mean, like, what about games, right? So it's sad what happened to that person because they committed suicide. Is that what happened?
This person just, there was
depressed?
several that parents who testified that talked about their children with self-harm. I think the main plaintiff here basically was saying that she had mental health issues for her adult life because of what was happening in her childhood.
I don't doubt that that's the case, actually, right? Like, I'm not here to question that person and what they went through, but that's a case for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But also, we have to take responsibility. Also, as a parent, I think the parents have to take responsibility too. This is just a lack of education and awareness about the power of it. You know, it's interesting. I've been a creator now for almost 2 decades, obviously on YouTube, but I'm also on all these platforms. Like, I know how the algorithms work to a certain degree. No one knows it fully. You can predict it fully. But I know, like, hey, it's trying to, like, keep your attention. So with my kids, I make a point to lower their device time and be very, very involved in what they're watching. Okay. Like, I have parental, tools to be able to, like, see what they're watching and ask them and look at it. Like, I take their device and look at what they're looking at. That's just me being, in my opinion, not necessarily a responsible parent, but a involved parent, rather than just letting them out. You see this with kids. The younger the kid, the more it transforms their behavior. That's just the algorithm, like feeding them whatever their brain is following. Because of knowing all this and observing my kids, observing just people in general, I just always put on the blockers myself. Did I tell you, like, I turned off all YouTube shorts basically?
No, you
if
did
I
not.
see YouTube shorts pop up on my YouTube home feed, I turn them all off.
Oh, yeah, for yourself.
Yeah, completely. And they always try to sneak it in. And I think this is where the argument on the other side is, where they're like, we know when shorts gets consumed, they watch more shorts and they tend to be on the platform longer. So it's interesting. And is that like a negative thing? Well, it's their own app. They provide the service for free. They should be able to do whatever they want. Somebody used an argument, it's like alcohol. Well, alcohol, they have to put like a label on it.
Or
right?
smoking is like another good example.
Smoking, but you have to pay for cigarettes. You have to pay for that liquor or beer or whatever. Like with YouTube, it's completely free.
Well, but wouldn't that be an argument for adding those labels to the platforms because they're even more accessible? I mean, to me, that's scarier.
But then you're taking away agency of the person, and then, like, what if this spills into other things in life?
But is informing the user taking away their agency? To me, it's informing them, which is what you said was the problem.
Yes, I'm saying. Well, there's 2 discussions here. One, I think that we should inform people and educate them. Generally speaking, maybe that's the government's job. Maybe that's something that we have the apps do. I'm just saying that they shouldn't be liable for the negative parts, because a lot of things that happen to people, right? Negative things, bad things, even like things that where you get hurt, they can be multiple variables, not just one. I think this is a case of, like, they got the pocketbooks, so, like, attorneys are going after them. I'm not saying they're wrong and to do that, because maybe this for them. I'm saying for everybody else. Like, where does it stop? Right? Like, couldn't anybody, like, start saying this is, what do you call it? It's like the moral hazard of it, personally. But you're right. I think that there should be education. So yeah, there should be a label or something on it. I just don't think they should be responsible the way that, tobacco companies were back in whenever it was, like 60s, 70s, when they, like, brought that up. And then even alcohol, because it's a little bit different. There's, like, a more direct connection for health issues than this, because, again, like, well, my question is, in what span of time did these people get depressed or have self-harm? what all happened to them? We would never know.
Well, wouldn't that also be the case for cigarettes? Because I mean, people smoke over decades and then they get lung cancer. So to me, that seems like
you
it's a
got me
one-to-one.
there.
Yeah.
But again, like now we have labels or whatever. But it's so different because it's like a harm of the brain psychologically versus physically. Does that make sense? Like there's like a direct correlation. Like for example, we've all seen the lungs being all black and like messed up. There's not a lot of things that affects that. Well, these things that people are going through, there's other variables that can also affect that in addition to potentially social media and algorithms and just the content that leads them to that place.
Yeah, I think it is harder to tease out the causality, which is one of the reasons why these cases have taken so long to be successful. I do find it interesting in terms of it being like a local court, right? A 10-2 verdict, right? Something that didn't have to be unanimous, right? Well, that's first of all, that's pretty heavy on one side versus the other. But I think to me, this is the beauty of America in terms of having a jury here, right? You can kind of see the split a little bit, at least in California's courts, about how these people perceive the effect of social media on their own lives, right? They're not supposed to be biased, but how many of those jurors, have used social media? Probably all of them. I mean, almost certainly all of them, right? So they all have an opinion about social media and their effect, right? So it's informing their opinion here. And I think to me, it speaks to, and this would be my final question to you around this, about what you want to watch versus what keeps you watching, right? There's this really famous concept in psychology of wants and want to wants, right? What are the things that are my higher self would want? What is it that I want to want, right? Be healthy, be rich. Like those are all things that are want to wants. Your decisions, the shorter term things that you make, are not necessarily aligned with those bigger term or those longer term pictures, right? So your wants and want to wants don't necessarily always align. So what you want to watch and what keeps you watching are two different things. And to me, that's sort of where the question comes, which is, to what extent is it the platform's responsibility? What are the things that they are responsible for, and where does that responsibility end in your mind in these cases?
Well,
especially as a parent, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you give like an example related to like physical things that you can, do in your life that affects your health, like a grocery store. What do they put on the outside of the aisles, right? Like they put all the stuff that you might want to buy, but like on the end caps, they're putting all these foods and snacks.
Yeah.
Candy
and chips.
It's this, like, I don't want to get into this long debate because we could be debating this forever. But
totally.
Again, that's why it's like people have to take responsibility for their own lives, and it's up to you to protect your family. No judgment on the parents in that. I'm saying for everyone else, and that's why it's like a tricky place to be. I will say for sure, 100%. And I've said this for creators. By the way, this is what creators take advantage of to be more successful. If you can help these platforms get viewers there and then keep them there and bring you back there, well, you're going to win the game, right? That's like the algorithm simply put.
Yes.
So as a viewer and a consumer, you should also be aware of that. And as a parent, I take full responsibility for what happens to my kids in my own home. Like outside of the home, like something happens to them or whatever, like you're starting to like ask questions and look who was responsible for them. But in my own home, right? So I don't even want to get into it because it could become like kind of like more than a debate, like an argument.
Yeah.
I think that this is like pretty obvious to anybody. And if you let this get out of control, then there'll be too many, people would be too careful about what they do, the business that they start, and who have access to them. And then it becomes a question of like, do they start putting blockers? Like, and then what do? They ask you like, are you depressed now? Hey, do you have a family history of, like getting addicted to things? Like that's not their business to know, right? And they shouldn't even have to ask. You see where like it gets so complex, and to just simply be like, oh yeah, because you've got this platform and you've got this algorithm that we know can be addicting, you're responsible for this person and the things that happen to them, and not asking the question. I'm sure during this court case, the defendant, I guess you could say, which was a platform's, their representation probably asked this. And I'm actually kind of curious to see what that argument was, that debate in court.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that they won. I'm surprised
I was too.
that the plaintiff won this case.
Yeah. I think for me, just to close out my perspective, I think that it's totally fair to at least put the label on, right? I think that that's an important piece. I think you could even make an argument for age gating the same way you do. I think cigarettes are a good example to draw from. That's just my personal opinion. One product that...
Okay, can I say this real quick?
Yeah,
I know
please.
we don't want to leave this going because I thought about this a lot when I was listening to the All In podcast because I am a parent. And even on this podcast of these billionaires, there was different, philosophies in terms of parenting. The reason why it would be unfortunate to put like an age like limitation, and this is like maybe the clearest example of how this is not a apples to apples comparison to cigarettes or alcohol, is because how many benefits are there to social media? Now, you can say alcohol culturally, we connect with each other, but there's a clear a trend of people using less and less alcohol. Same thing with cigarettes. Look at the amount of cigarettes people. And I don't think it's just the labels. I think the labels educate people, but people just know, right? Like after I drink a lot of alcohol, I feel like crap. I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm like me personally, I'm drinking more non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Same thing with cigarettes. Well, with social media, there is a negative side, generally speaking, even for adults, not just for the kids. But think about the positives. I mean, yeah, you could say freedom of speech is, squashed a little bit. But the reality is we never had the ability to communicate this way. The thing that proved to me YouTube was special. My wife from a little farming town north of Seattle, she was never supposed to be this superstar. She wasn't even planning on being in the limelight, was able to grow this influence of millions of followers and build this amazing life for herself and create connections with all these viewers from all over the world. That's a huge benefit.
Yes.
Okay. And think about the educational benefits too. Well, going back to the parenting, would I want to completely take it away because I know the dangers? I actually don't want to, even though I'm more I'll tell you, yesterday, I was like, hey guys, put away the devices.
Yeah.
Get your shoes on. We're all going to go for a bike ride. That's me as a parent knowing hey, going to touch some grass, get some sun on your skin and breathe in fresh air is better for them at that moment than social media. But man, they learn so much from social media in terms of research, in terms of exposure to things. I'm still learning about history, geopolitics, all that. I never had that ability. Even I had the discussion with my kids about history and they're learning history. But man, if they really were into it, they can use YouTube and learn 10x what I could have ever learned in class because it's all there. And that's just, again, how you use the product of social media and video sites like YouTube. So there's way more good than there is bad, but it's easy for us, just like anything in life, right? I mean, anything can be a vice that can turn to addiction, and it's still up to us. That'd be my last thing I would say, because I thought, that'd be unfortunate if you put an age limit, because I know some parents say hey, I'm not going to let my kids use it till 16 or even 18. But man, there are some benefits, and it would be a shame. And also, I'm super biased. I was on the YouTube Kids app team, and well,
it's a good example though.
Yeah.
They have a specific app for kids.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
And well, I think 10 years going back. Yeah.
Less controversial product is the DJI Osmo Pocket 4, hopefully, but the 3 that we know of. We love the Osmo. It is the best vlogging camera. It's the most powerful camera that we've used for live. It's just a very powerful camera for live streaming, I guess I should say. There was huge news this week. I want to quote from the newcamera.com, and this is what they said. One of the first high-resolution photos of the official retail packaging for the DJI Osmo Pocket 4 Creator Combo has surfaced over the web. Usually you can bring this up. Thanks to the image, we are getting the clearest look available yet, with all the possible set of core specifications visible on the back side of the packaging, confirming the major specifications of the upcoming camera, which include a 1-inch sensor, 14 stops of dynamic range, and 107 gigabyte built-in storage with blazing 800 megabytes per second transfer speeds, 2x lossless zoom, and a full suite of creator-focused accessories. Here's exactly what DJI is advertising on the packaging. And I'm going to just read these again because it lists all of them out. A 1-inch sensor with 14 stops of dynamic range, which is new, right? It gives you more creative control, like an aperture, basically. A massive leap for low light performance on HDR video. 10-bit D-Log color support, which basically is a way to allow creators to color grade their things. 2x lossless zoom. I think that this is an interesting one. I bet you it comes from the larger sensor, that it's probably going to be an optical quality zoom because it's going to just crop to the center, but there's going to be enough pixels for it to remain a 4K or 1080p camera. I bet, I'm not certain, but I bet you that's what's going to be happening. This one's interesting, and I'm curious about what your reaction is to it, Benji. An 107 gigabyte, I don't know why that number, built-in storage instead of using an SD card, plus 800 megabytes per second data transfer, everything there. And then a couple of other things. Active Track 7 with intelligent focusing, Osmo audio with 4-channel output, 3-axis stabilization, and rotatable touchscreen. Those are kind of the basic specs that are coming out for the Osmo Pocket 4. When you hear that, you've been notably skeptical of the Pocket 4. Is there anything that stands out to you there that you might be interested in using in terms of all of those specs?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is it's always exciting when you have a new camera and it's got some amazing tools. Just to give some context, I've been using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 for now religiously 2 years.
Wow.
I've probably filmed over 350 vlogs with it. I've been saying up to this day, it's the perfect vlog camera. I don't actually have a lot of things I want to fix on it. So adding 107 gigabytes of what do you call it? Storage on board.
Yeah.
It's actually a great thing because there have been times where I forgot the SD card and I need it. So having that backup, but to me, it's people are going to fill that up real quick.
Yeah,
okay?
very true.
But still amazing. 2, it's almost as if the microphone is the microphone going to come with the original like camera?
I think it does come in the creator pack.
And if that,
here.
in the creator pack, not like that standalone.
I'm not certain.
Yeah. I think like if it comes with it, that's a huge bonus because that's what makes the Osmo great. And outside of that, there's not really much else I'm pumped about. And I've been saying this for a while. I'm just excited that the Osmo 3 is going to be cheaper probably, okay? Now, to be fair though, I haven't used the 4, so I want to use the 4. But if the 4 is better than the 3, it's definitely exciting because the 3 is just the perfect creator camera, especially for vloggers. And what else was I excited about in terms of benefits of the new one? I think the only other thing is maybe the low light ability, right?
I think the low light zoom and storage and all those things, right?
The zoom is a big one because I've told you when I need to zoom on something, I use my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I'll pull up my phone for the zoom shots, right? Because the iPhone has a great zoom function, but I don't use my Osmo for that. But now I'm able to because it does have an optical zoom.
This one I think is an optical quality zoom. Because there's supposed to be like a Pocket 4 Pro as well that I think has like at least several lenses, maybe some type of periscope thing going, which would be purely optical, right? It's using the actual glass to do the zooming. This one I think is the clever trick that the iPhone uses, which is that it's a 48 megapixel sensor. And so at 1x, it has this thing, right? It gets the whole sensor. But at 2x, it goes in and it crops in. But there's so many pixels that they can still do a full quality image, but it just doesn't get the whole sensor.
Yeah, so that's awesome, right? I'll tell you what, even if I didn't use my phone, I've gotten away without the optical zoom or digital zoom, and it's been fine. No one's ever like, hey, why didn't you zoom up on that thing, right? Because sometimes it will crop. And again, I'm doing vlog content, so it's just more laid back anyways.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, awesome. We haven't even talked about it though. The coolest feature of the Osmo, period, is the PTZ function for live streaming.
Yeah.
Which nobody uses it for that.
I know, it's crazy.
I feel like I'm maybe one of a handful that use it for that function. I know for a fact because we have a video where you talk about my live stream setup and the PTZ function, being able to remote controlled by Nouch, who runs the live streaming show, is one of the greatest features because you used to have to pay more, or the camera itself was just for that function, right? PTZ cameras, they're not really the most sexy for creators because they usually aren't something you can take with you. But this, you can take and vlog, do your normal vlogger kind of stuff. You can also create legit videos. I mean, like it's got like such high-end like quality, image stabilization, whatnot. You know, especially the Pocket 4 has like cinematography level capabilities.
Yeah.
But the PTZ function being in that thing for live streams, and if you don't know what PTZ means, that's point, tilt, zoom. So it means that the head of the camera can move around just like this. And that's what the camera you use to go vlog with.
Yeah.
That's never been done because it's usually been a fixed lens that doesn't move around. And this is why, I mean, there's a whole like side note. DJI just got lucky here because they were making these cameras for drones.
Yeah.
So they had to be on a gimbal to be stabilized, and they had the ability to move because when your camera is flying up there, you don't always want to turn your what do you call it? The drone itself. You could turn just the camera. So then when you put that onto like an actual handle for a camera for a person to use, everything else just kind of made sense. So even the PTZ function, which is unique, I think, there's not any cameras I know of that can do PTZ at that small of a form factor. Game changer.
Well, especially ones that are vlog cameras too, that are multi-purpose. That's why it's such a versatile and crazy camera, because of that ability. That's the amazing piece.
That's the video I want to do. And so I know I keep geeking out, and I will say it's like, maybe you're not interested in this. I'm going to do a video about this because it's such a big deal for the future of content creation that you can do everything with one device. And my wife now, this is a big one. We used a Canon G7X Mark II. That's the old one. That's like 10 years old. We bought a whole bunch as the 3 came out because the 3 wasn't as good as the 2. We're down to our last one, and Judy doesn't want to get a new one. She wants to go to the Osmo Pocket 3 or 4. That's why I've been holding off on buying her one. And so our house will be full of these pockets.
Yeah, I mean, you may be able to do it soon because the expected launch date now is April 20th. So not quite by the next time we do this show, but soon after that, we'll hopefully be able to talk about it and maybe even bring it on the show and discuss it. The expected prices, and of course, these are always kind of all over the place in terms of what people are going to expect, but it makes sense. They're going to fit the launch prices of the Pocket 3, which is $499 to $599 for the Pocket 4 base, or $649 to $749 for the creator combo. But of course, you have a lot of that creator stuff. There's some other stuff in there too. You should check it out for the reporting and those leaks at thenewcamera.com. I'll put the link in the description as well. But just really interesting stuff. And again, I think just impressive to see the versatility of the Pockets. Actually, by the way, one thing, Veggie, I bet you the reason you're going to want a Pocket 4 is for your live streams because of the PTZ and the zoom. If you can get optical zoom on your live stream using the Osmos, you can get nice and close on the food and things like that. It'll make it look way better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Nouch likes that too.
Let's go to the film room, which is our director's commentary for our channels on this show. Now, every creator's goal is to create a video that catches the algorithm, obviously, right? But so many people that are new to this business, and even people who are old to this business, think that the most important part of getting those views is subscribers, which of course is a daunting prospect, as we all know, because it can take a ton of time to get those subscribers, right? Now, you're also trying to reach this algorithm that takes your content and puts it in front of people. But Benji, you and I talk a lot about how the idea of the subscriber and like the fact that these small channels can't find success are actually myths. Like just straight up, they are myths in the modern creator economy. And I think the video that we uploaded recently is 100% proof of that, because we are a small channel right now. In fact, as of March 30th, we only had 458 subscribers. But on March 31st, we posted a video that over the last 8 days has over 12,000 views and counting. It's like going up still. So it's caught the algorithm. I want to talk a little bit about the strategy first, but I want to take us from top to toe of the entire process that we use to create this video, as well as all the surrounding context about why this video has found success and what we're going to do next in relation to it. So the first video, Nouch, you can bring this up on the slide now. The first video we posted to this channel was on August 17th, 2025. You can see it here. It was a podcast episode. I mean, I put that in air quotes, podcast episode, a predecessor to this show. And we were just talking about one topic, which was Beast Games. Now, the goal using this strategy was to create topical, clickable podcast clips. And again, I'm putting air quotes around clips because they weren't really clips. They were just the whole show themselves. But eventually, about a month and a half, and this was what the entire show looked like, right? You can kind of see what we were going for in terms of format. But eventually, about a month and a half later, we started posting this podcast, which we called the Creator Secrets Podcast, episode 1. Now, this one was a little bit different. It was weekly. We decided that we were going to do it live every single week. You can also see that the podcast episodes are much longer. And that's because we took each of those segments, that sort of Beast Games style segment, or if you saw it in there was a Taylor Swift one too. We do them back to back to back live. That's what you're watching right now. This is like one of the segments that we're doing right here. And the goal for this one was it was very intentional, the way we built it, was to create a show that was easily clipped, right? So we're going to take this segment, we're going to put it out on its own and let the algorithm catch up. But for those who want to watch the whole thing live, want to interact with us live, they can still watch it with us and do the whole thing. So this is the whole strategy of the show. And you can see now that this is sort of what we look like. Now, let me just draw out for you what this kind of looks like here. Because the reason we do it this way is that we always...
This is cool.
Pretty awesome, right? Oh, and actually, I just messed it up, so sorry about that. Spoke too soon. Let me go over here.
I should just not say anything next time.
The way that we do this show is that we begin the whole thing with really just like a cold open, right? We call it the pre-show. And usually it's some kind of story. It's something lighter hearted because when you are doing a live show, right, it takes some time for people to filter it. The inspiration for this, by the way, is going to a concert. I love going to a concert and having openers because guess what? It gives people time to enjoy something before the show, grab drinks, grab merch, talk to one another, maybe still jam out to whoever it is. Hopefully it's a great opener, right? But also get there for the real event, which usually happens later in the night. So that's the inspiration for the cold open there. Then what we do is we call follow-up, right? Now, follow-up is a very specific kind of thing on the show, right? Where we have topics and we want to call back to some of the feedback that we've gotten on previous videos, right? So if we did something where I researched something or if listeners given us really good feedback, we are like, okay, let's just take this and make a dedicated segment. And you'll see that we do like, several chunks of follow-up that go like right there. Then what we do is we get into topics, which are very similar, but instead of it being driven by listener feedback or my own research, we let the news drive this or any other topic that we're doing as well. So like this is an example of we are in the middle right now of a topic, right? Like a specific example kind of topic would be the film room. And then of course we usually close out in some way. So this is our closing. And so this is how we build the show. Now, this goes out to YouTube live, right? We are doing this right now. We're doing this live here. But the real hack is that, it's kind of hard because not everybody's interested in everything. We want to take each of these and send them out to go work on the algorithm on their own, right? Now, let me tell you this because this is the really interesting thing. One of the topics that we got a lot of feedback about here was DJI stuff. And the reason we knew this is because we started clipping these out and they started performing. If you actually look across our top performing videos on the channel, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 of them are probably things like DJI Osmo, maybe 7 out of 10 because the remaining 3 are like Alyssa Liu stuff. But other than that, the DJI Osmo has become a pillar, as we call it on this show, a pillar for this channel. So let's zoom in on this. This is the context that we're seeing around this whole thing that we've been doing over the past, several months now. I'll let those go away. And what we decided to do was on your channel, we decided that we wanted to start live streaming weekly cooking shows live using Ecamm, right? We use the DJI Pocket. We just talked about the Pocket. We just talked about Ecamm. We use it to stream your show. And one of the reasons we do that is because we wanted to test out the limits of this and see what we can do on a show that's dedicated in something like that. It's been massively successful. And actually, I'm curious about what your reflection has been on the live itself. Just a really quick comment about what it's been like to do a live cooking show on your channel.
Yeah, well, live cooking show in the past has been something we have done, but not very often because it was so complex. It took forever to set up and it was kind of a nightmare running it and it just didn't really have the right vibe. Now it takes me 2 minutes. Nouch fires everything up remotely, and we're doing 2 live streams a week. So already the amount I'm able to do has like 10x, maybe 100x compared to what I did in the past. And it's just been more fun and casual. And the fact that I'm not setting up different cameras. I'm setting up the cameras I already use for my vlog. So I've enjoyed it. Obviously, Ecamm made it super fast and easy. And this is probably the biggest difference. Now I'm going live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram all at the same time, horizontally and vertically. So, I mean, I have nothing to complain about. I'm just excited to do more.
So we spent all that time doing this live show, doing your live show, and we were getting really excited about what we were achieving on Benjiman TV's live cooking show. And so what that allowed us to do then is get our reps in, get it dialed in. And what we wanted to do is, because this channel is all about the production behind things, we wanted to make a dedicated video showcasing the unique setup. Because I don't know anyone else out there, at least on YouTube, I couldn't really find anyone who's using this setup that we're using, especially to this extent, on a channel that's performing as well as the Benji
or
Ben
even
TV live
simply
cooking show.
just using DJI Osmo Pocket 3s for a live stream and using it in a PTZ function, which lets whoever's controlling the live stream move the camera angles through the software.
And so we were really excited. And so what we started to do is we started to go into production mode for Creator Secrets. We were like, okay, you had a very successful channel called Video Influencers back in the day with Sean Cannell, where you would go and you would basically make informational videos or interviews and just all sorts of things, but especially kind of like an old-fashioned blog where you would go and you'd actually explain to people how to do things technically, what setups you were using, what gear you were using, what your philosophy was about the algorithm. And you're like, we're going to rev this engine again. We're going to bring this baby out of the garage and we're going to do it.
Also to add, we made those videos on Video Influencers to rank for search.
Yes.
So people go to YouTube, they pull up the search tab and they type something in, and we want to rank on there. So that's called video ranking, which Sean Cannell has this great program where he teaches you how to rank. Well, guess what? That's what we did with Video Influencers. So for the first time in 6 years, I'm like, yeah, let's rank this ish. And then guess what? We did. But go ahead, tell them.
And so what we started to do is we started to brainstorm. We started thinking about who our target audience was, what we wanted to cover in the video, what the scope of this thing was going to be. And we began with a meeting between you, Nouch, and I sitting here in the studio. And I want to show you one of the things that came out of it, because the first part of our brainstorming video, our brainstorming session, was this, which is a whiteboard that shows kind of our planning process. You can see we have the thumbnail, we have the title, we have a couple sketches of what our thumbnail might look like. And this is actually the way that we kind of began the meeting, is we said, okay, what is our packaging? What do we actually want people to click on? And by the way, this is something that I learned, I've heard a lot of people say about, but I especially learned from Dan Norton, who is of Deep Pocket Monsters. He talks about how he and Pat, when they're making their videos that are getting millions of views on their Pokemon channel, that they talk in titles and thumbnails. That is all they do. And if they don't have something good, they don't even talk about it. Do you have a comment there?
No, I agree. That's what you need to start. Okay, you usually start with the idea of the topic, but you really want to start with the packaging, which is the title and thumbnail.
Yes.
Because if they don't click through, they don't even see your amazing video.
Yeah, the idea and the topic really is the packaging and the thumbnail in a lot of ways. Like there's a deep alignment between that and the video and everything like that. But if you have a good title and thumbnail, dang, you should probably make that video. And so we had an idea already, but we really wanted to nail down the title and thumbnail to make sure we had something. By the way, this is just working titles and thumbnails, because these are not what we landed on 100%, but this gave us a direction to get started. So here's what we did next. We sat there, and after we had this, we talked about all the things that we want to do. I turned on voice memos on my phone, by the way. We just chatted. Benji said things, I said things, Nouch said things. We talked through all of it. And what did we do next? We transcribed it using like Mac Whisper or something like that. We threw it in Gemini and we said, make this into an organized thing following these ideas basically that we talked about, and using this structure. And these are the things we want to highlight. And let's go. This is the title and thumbnail. Let's go. And it spit out 2 different versions of a outline that we could use. And we basically said, okay, great. This is enough for us to get started. You chose one of the outlines and you got going. So then fast forward about a week, you, Nouch, and our friend Guy Cochran, I think, were in studio together, getting ready to go live on Benjiman TV. And walk us through that day. What did it look like?
So are you talking about the live stream or the recording of the video itself?
Yeah, well, both.
Yeah, got it. So the reason we were recording that day is because I was already going to do a live stream, and because this was about my live stream setup, we wanted to record the actual video itself first, and then capture B-roll of the live stream that I was doing right afterwards. I know it's crazy that all that's happening in one day. But we took that pumped out, script, and there was 2 different versions. We just picked the one that we felt was best, and that's what we followed to shoot the video.
Yeah.
There's 2 reasons for it. One, we just want to know what we need to be talking about. Now, I don't read scripts. I just see bullet points or sections, and I just go to town. So this is why it's important to know what you're talking about, because in the past, say I didn't quite know as to the level I want. Usually knows this. It takes 10 times to record a scene, okay? It took me Neutrally, and it was his first time one time, because we know this stuff so well.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
but we
awesome.
went section to section to section. I think like he flubbed like twice. I probably didn't flub at all, anyways. So we go section by section by section and use that outline that ChatGPT pumped out, and it made it super easy. The second reason we do that is we take that same outline and we give that to our editor. Hey, use this outline, because we're using it to edit the videos, and do your best. Now, typically when you're editing, you're the one editing, or you're working with your editor. Our editor is remote. So it was really, and I'd say like I give that person a 90%, because they also put in a lot of the B-roll, which after we filmed that part, Neutrally had to actually set up the live stream. I set up all the gear. He goes back to the studio, runs the live stream. The guy shooting the video for us shot the B-roll, so he just stayed at my house and shot all the different angles of the different things that we wanted to feature of what we were talking about. So, it's a talking head video, this live stream setup. So you want something visually to keep it compelling, keep it interesting, and just like to inform them what we're doing. And one of the big ones is a PTZ function of the Osmo 3. So when I'm live streaming, we're telling guy to do it. Again, that outline, he uses that outline like, hey, what kind of B-roll would I want?
Yeah.
By the way, this is why your shooter should also be a shredder, right? Shooter editor. He didn't edit, but still, they're thinking like the editor, right? Like, what would the editor want? And so that's what he did. I did my normal 1 hour live stream. Guy, the videographer, shot all the B-roll. Then we upload both the tutorial video and then all the B-roll of my live stream up to the cloud, and then it gets handed off to the editor.
And like you said, we also give the editor the outline, and they did a great job. We went through a couple rounds of edits, but overall, like it was very easy. We've worked with them for a long time, right? And video was ready. Now, this is where I would say most people get really, really excited. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. They throw it up on YouTube, and it's just there and ready to go. I'll be honest, I was there too, and there was a whole bunch of other reasons we wanted to get this video out, because we had this event coming up, and I could just go on and on and on. But we took a pause. After we uploaded it, we made sure that we had all of the things in the description proper. We made sure that we had a good working title that we wanted to go for. And you and I, on a separate day, went out over to your kitchen and shot a bunch of thumbnails through a dedicated time and process.
That go at least an hour of work.
Yeah.
At least.
I mean, one of the things that you told me is that that's unusual for you. It's something that you haven't done a ton in the past in terms of doing
Almost
that.
ever. Never.
And so I want to hear about what your experience was like, and I'm going to reveal the packaging and reveal the outcome of that eventually. So don't spoil that part. But tell me about what you were thinking when we were doing that.
Well, I've always known the thumbnail was important, but there's 2 parts of me. There is the vlogger side of me that is very organic about it, but knows like you still want a thumbnail image, but we don't want it to be forced or produced, okay?
Yes.
And then there's the other side, right? I call it the video influencer side, the YouTube coach in me that knows you should do it. But even then, it was like quick, like when Sean and I would do thumbnails, per a video, we would batch produce lots of videos. Took like 5 minutes to do a thumbnail per video. In this case, we did an hour.
Yeah.
What has changed is this. YouTube has gotten so competitive, and credit to me and Sean, YouTube Secrets, and other experts and coaches, and just creators just getting better. Like, you got to be on point with everything, right?
Yes.
We used to say like the video itself could get you ranking and do as long as it generally was the right direction. But now it's like title, thumbnail, and video, and anything else you got to just be on point, because like people want to do this. People want to have successful YouTube channels. They want to become creators. They want to have influence and make money. Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring it up is I knew it was going to take that hour-long session at least. And I even said to you, I was like, yo, I've already done a lot of images when we were shooting with Nouch, the actual live stream setup, and the videographer took some images with his phone. It was like, but dude, whatever we got to do, we got to do it. And I remember that day I was kind of in a hurry, but I was like putting off, what I had to do next because I knew how important it was. And so my mindset has really shifted, and I've been doing this 18 years now. In just the last 3 years, the packaging has really heightened in terms of its importance. Now, it doesn't diminish the need for a great video. It's just it's a necessity now to have that title and thumbnail on point. And if you don't think of it, you're doing yourself a disservice. And that's why we spent so much time on it. Not just then, but from the very beginning. If you look at that picture, I think we lost it. It's no big deal. On our first chicken scratch, kind of like a whiteboard, and usually you can pull it up right here. At the bottom, you'll see the thumbnails. The thumbnails are at the bottom of this for a reason, because you have to think about it. I actually think about this for my vlogs even. I'm like, today I went to Costco to do a Costco vlog. I was like, what would be the thumbnail for this? Now, the thumbnail's not always as obvious as like the elements in it. Also, the expressions. By the way, side note, did you hear what Dan said about their thumbnails?
Yes, I did.
They no longer can have happy pat. It has to be like shocked or sad pat. And I took note of that because it seems like for me, it's cringy Benji that works better, right? Whatever, just like, right? So I did that for my Costco vlog today. We think about the packaging from the beginning. And again, this is a huge bonus tip. And you can go back to me mutually. The biggest thing is you want to be inspired by good thumbnails and titles to do videos rather than doing a great video and not thinking about the thumbnail and title. I literally have done vlogs that done well because I knew what the thumbnail was going to look like. Because remember, that is how you're competing against other YouTube videos. And you have to get them, the viewers, compelled enough to click your video. So anyways, that was a long way of saying, yeah, we spent an hour making a thumbnail.
Yeah, and I'm glad you went through that, because it is true that this process began with the very beginning of planning for this video. So we planned the script and the title and thumbnail in one thing. By the way, in the background, you know what I was doing? Before, as you guys were shooting, I was researching. I was saying, okay, what are the other things on this platform that are performing well? You did the same thing. You had some examples on your phone that you sent me screenshots of. We took inspiration from those, right? One thing we learned, and you'll see this in the upcoming thing, showing all of the angles that we were able to achieve works really well on these things. So we included that, right? One thing we knew, by the way, and this is sort of the big aha moment, one thing we knew from doing the clips from this show was that showing the DJI Osmo or like the extra muse or something like that in the thumbnail performs really well. You don't even need to say that in text necessarily, which again, we'll come to in just a second. And so we know, A, that people are interested in the educational part of all of this. B, that the Osmos are already a draw to click on. C, that your reaction, which is going to be in this thing, is really important as well. D, that we want to show all of the angles that we were able to achieve. And E, I guess you would say, is that we wanted to make sure we highlighted the fact that this was super easy and super simple to set up, because that was kind of the whole point of this whole thing. By the way, I didn't even talk about the fact that we talked to a whole group of people as a part of Office Hours, which is this live streaming group that they do to like learn about what they were interested in and use that as part of the feedback as well to know part of our who we were reaching. All of that went into just the thumbnail. And of course, all of this comes together at the very end when we upload. Now, I have a challenge because I know our audience loves it when I put Benji in the middle of a game. So I'm calling this the packaging challenge. Nouch, if you could bring this up on screen. The packaging challenge. Well, it is kind of what you would imagine. So again, a title and thumbnail on YouTube is called packaging. And the goal for you, Benji, is to guess which packaging won. Oh. Now, I'm going to say I'm a little competitive. And so what I did is I made one that was 100% your ideas based off of the assets that we had. I did one that was 100% my ideas based off of the assets that we had. And one that was a combination of the two of ours. And I honestly don't even remember which one is which. So I guess
I know which one is
mine.
mine.
You remember which one is yours? Okay.
Yeah.
I just get lost in the sauce. Tell me, of these three title and thumbnail combos, which one would you expect that would win?
The one on the bottom, because it is mine.
So My insanely simple DJI live streaming setup. It says 10 angles, 2 cameras.
Title or thumbnail, because those are the different things.
These are combinations. I'm telling you, these are the 3 packages that I did. I A/B tested all of these, and one of them won.
Let's take a break though. Do titles get swapped out with different thumbnails, or it's always correlated?
So I'll show you right here on the screen.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of the new setup, everybody. I can show Benji right here.
Cool.
This right here, and let me do it. This is one that got shown.
Got
This
it.
is option B that got shown. This is option A.
Yeah.
So A, B, C.
I'm going to say C because it's my thumbnail, and I usually have a pretty good instinct, especially if I'm going to be in the video. And remember, I treat this video the way I would treat any one of my vlogs. So I did the research, I looked it up, I looked at what other thumbnails are out there, what other live stream setup videos are out there, and this is the concept that I came up with. And also, it's very clear. Okay, like I wanted to make a point that it's just my laptop and the 2 cameras.
Yeah.
And people know what the Osmo looks like. So that's why I went with this. And so again, critiquing A and B, the screen kind of almost gets lost. So you don't even know what is really going on. I still think it's a great thumbnail. But again, if I'm comparing what's more simple, what's more clear, that C one is better. So that's my thoughts on why we went with that. Okay, another note.
One second, chat. I want you to vote right now. And actually, if you're watching this video after that, because we clipped it, right? That's the idea. We clipped this video so way it'll get more views. Comment right now. Tell me what your guess is and what your rationale is. Pause the video if you're not live and do it right now. But Benji, final thoughts.
One more comment too.
I wish we could play Jeopardy music without it being copyrighted.
I think that to be clear, we're using AI within our graphics software, and sometimes we use AI on its own, but I'm a huge fanatic on always having real images. So those 2 cameras, that's my hands holding my Osmos that I use all the time, and the laptop is my laptop. What we did was grab those cameras and the laptop and maybe change the sizing, but that's really me. That's not like an AI version of me. This comes from my vlogging background, knowing that it's still possible to do like real pictures, and then also seeing how sometimes people go so far AI and so commonly that just gets lost in the mix.
Yes.
In fact, when I see people do all 100% AI, even if it's a good thumbnail and it could work, it's losing the realness to the point where like people, like analog is coming back, right?
Yes.
Being able to touch and feel things is going to be coming back. So real images is like novel and different, which is exciting for a vlogger like me. So every single of my thumbnails, I don't let my editors use full AI thumbnails at all. They have to have a real image. This is why you have to think through it. So that's why we're doing that. Okay. That was a long rant to say I am definitely combining real images with AI and graphics software. By the way, that combination is very important. That's a whole nother podcast. And that's what you see with C.
As we speak, our video has 12,274 views and counting. The
And
answer
it's going
is
up, by the way.
Neutrally, can we get a drum roll?
Doc says C.
Answer was B.
By how much?
Not much. It was
Okay.
6%. They were all pretty close, but this was a clear winner. By the way, it was such a clear winner that it did not go through the whole test. So this is one thing that, for those of you who have not used YouTube A/B testing, if YouTube decides that one of the thumbnails is so good compared to the others that it would be wasting your views to keep the test running, they will cut it short and just show the one right away. I'm going to talk about that more in a second. The middle one is the answer. And Benji, by the way, my bet was on C2 beforehand. So I don't want anybody to be clowning on Benji and Doc.
So is it still testing it?
No, because it just set this as the thumbnail
But you know
purely.
Just recently? Like what?
I want to say about 5 days ago.
You know what's weird though? The bottom one still shows up for me on
And
my
does
phone.
it show on the Messages app, or does it show on the
I will literally
YouTube
do
app?
it right now. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go to our channel.
This is the beauty of live, everybody.
I know.
Like, I love this thing.
So look, it still shows the old one. I don't know if it's because of the cookies or not.
You can show the camera too, yeah.
I don't know if you can zoom. Well, we do have the Osmo Tel 2s, which have optical zoom. Let's see. Okay, cool. Zoom in. Look what I see.
Yeah. Nice, slow, sensual zoom.
So how far
boy.
is that the farthest you can go? Can you do optical zoom? But anyways, There you go. It shows me holding the thing barely.
It shows option C, in other words.
Option C, yeah.
So you can bring that up on screen while you zoom back out neutrally. Option B was a bit of a surprise to me too. This one, by the way, I think is a bit of the hybrid between ours. And here's what this tells me. Here's why I think this one won. Here's my theory of the case so far. There's two things that happen. The first thing is that I would say that what gets people to stop scrolling is the thumbnail. That's the kind of thing that draws people's interest in. This is my theory of thumbnails. What gets them to click? The combination of that interest that you create with a thumbnail and the information, the context that you provide in the title. By the way, that's another thing that Dan talked about is I think curiosity and context are the two pieces there. And so what this does is if you think about them seeing the thumbnail first, what do they see? They see Benji surprised on the screen.
Yeah.
They see a bunch of different angles, which we know was successful. They see the DJ Osmos standing up side by side, and immediately they're kind of like, oh, how are they getting all these angles with just two cameras, right? Second thing they might be thinking about, oh, DJ Osmo, I have one of those, or I love them DJ Osmo, or I want to only spend $500 or less potentially, right? And what's the last thing they might see, or maybe even the first thing? Easy streaming. I'm a beginner. I want something easier than who doesn't want easier? Let's click on this one. Now, of course, they probably haven't clicked yet. They want to read what the title says. And what does it say? The simplest multicam live streaming setup I've ever used. What does that communicate? Well, the first thing it communicates is, hey, this is easy. It's reinforcing the thumbnail. Like you say, the title and thumbnail is always a bit of a dance. So you have it's easy, it's simple, not necessarily the same thing, but both reinforcing one another. Multicam, again, reinforcing what's in that thumbnail here. These people aren't joking that it's like 4 different angles that they're seeing in that thing right there. You can leave it up neutrally because I think it's useful and instructive to see. All those different angles there, right? And again, it shows that in the thumbnail, it's reinforcing it. And I've ever used. That actually speaks to your authority, Benji. Now, remember, we talked about our channel. It was relatively small.
You
at
are
this point.
so smart. This is like getting into the psychology at a deep level here.
For you, right, you have tried a bunch of different live streaming setups. You have a huge history. We didn't even really get to talk about it in the video, honestly, but it shows that you've tried things and that and I think it comes through in the video that you're like, geez, this is much easier. You even show that like you have this whole pile of gear that you used before. So all of those things I think add up to why this one won, because the other ones, they kind of communicate similar things, but this one communicates the entire package. It's also interesting that it's the longest title of the three.
So this is where I wish they could separate the titles from the thumbnails.
Yes.
Because I agree with you that title could be more powerful, or maybe it's the thumbnail that's more powerful. I don't know. I think that, one of the things, so this is a great lesson for anybody that's never done title thumbnail strategy. You want to have a dance between the title and the thumbnail. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Let the thumbnail speak for itself, okay? So, to your credit, your thumbnail says easy streaming on it, okay? And there's nothing else. Even the fact that it has DJI Osmos, you don't have to say that in the title because those are obvious to Osmo lovers.
They're so iconic.
And even if you don't know what an Osmo is, what are you going to do?
You're like, what is that?
Click, right? Okay, so that's really smart. And then on the title, you don't have to put easy again. He puts simplest. Again, some people might read simplest and that might make them click, or easy on the thumbnail. So this was one of my things too. 10 angles, 2 cameras. I didn't really like that on my thing. That was you like saying, hey, let's just go with
give it a shot. Yeah.
Because for me, now that I'm looking at this, I'm like over the laptop. Now I'm like put easy up there and put streaming on the right side of the thumbnail instead of 2 cameras. Because again, it's clear that's 2 cameras.
Yes.
Do you need to put 2 cameras?
No.
Yeah. You see, like, so you can kind of have this argument, but this is why not separating the title and the thumbnail makes it difficult, because how do you know what won it? Was it the title or the thumbnail? See, my argument is the thumbnail from a visual standpoint almost always will win. The more visually compelling it is, the more simple it is. And the title is what is more complex.
Yes, I agree.
Like you said, it's more of the psychology of it. And that's why what you got to do when you're doing thumbnail title decisions, separate your decision apart from each other.
Yes.
Even though we just said it's like a dance, judge a title just by the title itself and be like, which one is the best one? And then judge all the thumbnails visually which one's the best one, and then you start pairing them up as like dance partners.
Yes.
Which one dances the best? So it's not one or the other. I still think like mine is better. It's hard to know. And I'm like, what?
I'm so excited. You should keep going.
And so like for me, I'm just like, this is where like I love working with Austin because he's way smarter and more technical, and he's doing this research. The stuff he's telling me about this video itself and why it's doing well is kind of blowing my mind. You guys are getting all the access to it. I'm more instinctual about things. I'm not about like data. And so remember, I come from the era where I could only have one title, one thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
So you just had to make a decision.
I know.
In fact, you didn't even entertain doing multiple.
I know.
You know, like that was like something really innovative that creators were doing, where they would have multiple thumbnails and they themselves were switching it out. I mean, credit to, what was that? TubeBuddy had a function that they would switch out the thumbnail for you in the software itself. I think vidIQ does it now, but now you can do one thing. Anyways, I mean, where do you want to go with this?
Yeah, so I'm sorry to obsess over the title and thumbnail so much, but I really think that you said more and more, title and thumbnail is so crucial, because I think that we are already creating very good videos. We just need to get people to click through, right? And so this is one of the things that I've been thinking about here. So one of the ways that I tease this out is by looking at the order of which these things are successful and the degree to which they're successful, and then looking for patterns. So this one, first of all, is number 1. This one is number 2, and this is number 3.
Which, by the way, do you notice which one's number 3?
I do.
Is your thumbnail.
So this here, but it's interesting because here, right, there's a lot of similarities between 1 and 3 in terms of the thumbnail, right?
Yes, for sure.
But slightly different, right? But here, you take a look. Well, what is finding success? Well, number 1 and number 2, they both talk about things being simple or easy, right? They both talk about multicam right here, right? Like that. They both show the DJIs in here. And actually, neither of them call out the DJI. Well, actually, this one does say DJI here. And so to me, those are some of the things that I'm looking at there. Actually, I should leave this up as well. Now, if we look at the bottom 2.
By the way, now I'm critiquing take out DJI.
Yeah, I take out DJI because guess what? Our lowest performing one mentioned DJI the most. So why do it? Let the
image itself.
Let it speak for itself.
You don't have to tell a DJI Pocket or Osmo Pocket 3 fan that this is a DJI. They know this is the Pocket 3.
Yes. And so to me, right, and actually here's why, and we had the instinct to put DJI in there before. Back in the day, what were you doing? Keyword search. You wanted to put the keywords in the titles. That's dud. That doesn't exist anymore. The keywords, we talk about DJI probably 100 times in that video, right? 1,000 times in this one if you've been watching the whole show. But YouTube knows that. We don't need to put it in there. And by the way, by putting it in the thumbnail, the only thing that we need to communicate to the viewer is that this might relate to the DJI, as to your point. So to me, I'm like, okay, the only thing we want in here is the actual cameras themselves. Everything else should speak to A, your experience, and B, the nature of the setup, how easy and simple it is, but how powerful it is, right? So in the chat here, Doc says, you can rerun the test with the C thumbnail and all 3 titles and wait a week and run B thumbnail, all 3 titles. A good way to do BT's test. What I would do too, and remove the background and use solid white. Contrasts so well on TV. TV has no light mode. And then easy is very awesome. Psychological trigger. Agree with all of those
Can
things.
I give myself a little bit of credit?
1 second, let me finish my thought here, and then I'll let you say yours. What I want to do, I'm more and more of a believer of running at least 2 A/B tests if your video has the juice. So what I want to do, to what Doc was saying, usually if you can bring it up one final time for me, I want to run a test with this one here as well, with this one with changes, right? And then one other one that is a marriage of the 2. So we know which title and which thumbnail it works, as well as take some of the lessons that we have here from our theory and see if we can come with an even better one. If we can't, probably not worth it in the end to continue changing it, but you could keep running this in perpetuity as long as you're getting views. And so I'm going to draw my example thumbnail of what I want to do on the bottom as you talk. So go ahead and finish your thing. This is my thumbnail here in purple.
Fun story. Before Austin was my co-host, he was my videographer and also photographer, okay? So not only did he help shoot and edit my food recipe videos back in the day, he would go with us and be the shooter at different events and trips. One of them was VidCon, okay? And I give him shit about it to this day. I said, hey, take a picture of me and Sean. And it was like a great picture. The VidCon sign was of us, and then it was just me and Sean. Right in the center of us, in the background, was some random girl just awkwardly staring right at Austin and looking at the camera. And it was right between us. I wish we could find it because it's like it shows like how important it is to pay attention to the object and then the background. Why do I even go through that whole story? Because that's if I found that. It'd be pretty. In fact, maybe I'll look for it while I'm talking. When we were doing this thumbnail shoot, I remember when we're shooting his idea, kind of, right? The laptop with the cameras on each side. I was the one that said, like, let's get these cameras even closer.
Yep.
But the reason I brought up the whole background kind of mistake, it's funny, like with Tool today, we can like delete that girl out of in between us, is because originally behind this was the picture of the Eiffel Tower that's inside of there.
Yes.
And so what happened was the DJI Osmo in the thumbnail that he was using, right, or he kind of came up with, it hid the second Osmo.
Yes.
And I was like, yo, we need to get rid of that because I couldn't see what he's doing. I was like setting everything up and I was like doing this face. So I said, show it to me and it hit it. I was like, yo, we got to do it at an angle. Every single time it still have a little bit of the Eiffel Tower to I was like, we're going to really move this thing and just make it a blank background. I'm not doing this to poke fun at Austin. I'm trying to make a point. The thumbnails should be so clear and simple and easy to understand that there's no confusion, no complexity, and even the easy streaming is borderline like too much text, but it works. It's a nice balance. And so even like the 10 angles and 2 cameras of the C thumbnail, I don't want to use text if I can avoid it as much as possible. And you got to have, like, when you're editing thumbnails, I work with really good editors that knows how to use graphics software like way better than me, and people that know how to use AI. But again, I bring up that example because like he's my videographer. He like should know this stuff.
Exactly.
And he still left that girl in between us. And to this day, like he still has this, like, he's so focused on the objects. Me, I'm a big picture guy, no pun intended. I have to look at everything.
Yes.
And so when I look at thumbnails, I'm obsessing over thumbnails all the time. When I look at YouTube, and sometimes I may look at it too much, the way I justify it is because I judge every thumbnail. I go, why is this doing so well?
Yes.
Why did this get so many views? Now, again, it could be the video, could be the title, but oftentimes it could be the thumbnail. And that's why when I saw these thumbnails, when we were like dialing them in, and you did all of it, right? Like the post work, I was like, oh, we're on to something. And I was like excited. I already knew the video was a solid. Like I think neutrally, to be fair, I give you an A+, but the video itself still, and this is nothing against the editor, this is still up to me because again, it's my video, is like an 89. Okay. So it's like a B+, maybe an A, but in combination with the title and the thumbnail, it's an A+ because, and this is what we're going to get to, why you've been listening to this whole thing. It caught the algorithm.
Yes.
It's going beyond an audience that even knows of us or is subscribed to our channel. And that is the beauty of YouTube. And it's still a search engine, and it's still a suggestion engine. Oh, that's a new term.
I like that.
A suggestion engine that is unrivaled. And that's why I was excited. I was like, I felt like Maverick in the movie Maverick, where he's getting back in the cockpit of his jet, and he just went out there. It's like, I'm gonna show these kids what's up. I was thinking that this whole time. I was like excited. I think that's just a huge takeaway. If you're having fun, and then you put in some serious hours and serious work in addition to research and prep and execution, man, YouTube can actually be this like wild thing that actually works, that actually does what you're supposed. So all this stuff we're nerding out on, it's all worth it. And I would even say, giving credit to you and myself, we've just been putting in the hours and vlogging and doing different kinds of videos. And it's funny, this is like the beginning of an era. Doc, if you're watching, you ain't seen nothing yet, bro. Okay. Doc is with Ecamm, and he hung out with us. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited, not just for myself, but for anybody. If you are a YouTuber, you can go to me now. If you're a YouTuber, if you're a creator, and you're just getting started on this platform or Meta's platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, even though it is competitive and it is challenging, you can still make it happen. It's just new rules, new dynamics. There's new opportunities. We talk about live streaming a lot, but longer form content, even in short form, it's just like do something different and just get pumped up and excited. And just know there's no getting around the work. Enjoy the work. This is why whatever you create, make sure it's something that you love, because if you hate it, you're just going to quit. Me, I'm like, yo, I love what I do, which is helping creators so much. And even though I've done it in different forms, right? Obviously like live streams or short form or podcasts, now in-person events, it's all so I can do this as a lifestyle. And it just gives me like endless energy and endless persistence to get to this point. So when I saw this video work and I had the instinct like this could do it, and it's still going 10,000 views. Like I get like
it's just the
that
beginning.
in a day in my other channel, but that's not the point. I see the algorithm working the way it's like an old friend. It's like, hey, old friend. It's like, you know, like Maverick in his F-16 is like, yeah, I got this, right? I know exactly how to run this machine. YouTube still works. You know, I'll end in this. Doc sent me a video of Peter McKinnon talking about YouTube in general and the algorithm, and it's called I've Been a Bad Friend. Okay. And he's talking about how as a creator, he feels like he wasn't showing up enough, maybe for different reasons. Well, ultimately, he's actually even pointing fingers at YouTube saying, oh, the algorithm doesn't want to show my content. I'm in algorithm jail. No, this is what I think is happening right now. YouTube is different because people are different. People are getting less views or more views just because there's more competition and there's new rules that you have to follow. Okay. So that's why as a newbie, someone that's new to this platform with a fresh mind that doesn't have the baggage of old. And remember, I probably have the most baggage because I wrote a book called YouTube Secrets. It's still like the first half of it is amazing. The second half needs to be updated, frankly. Okay. And the thing is this, I could probably update it if I have time to write a second half of the book and Sean wants to. But the reason I know this stuff is because I put in the hours. I vlog like 4 to 5 times a week at least between my family vlog channel and my food vlog channel. I live stream 1 to 2 times at least a week, if not 2 to 3 times. And I'm talking to creators all the time. I'm looking at YouTube videos. I'm putting all the pieces together. And so all that to be said, it's still possible. And the opportunity before us is kind of crazy. And this is just the beginning. It's funny. This is one video, right? Now, let's see how the second video does. But I don't overthink it. It's all about the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th video, in my opinion. And so it's just a beginning for us. But I think that anybody can take advantage and still get the same kind of opportunities as 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But even faster if you know how to work the algorithm and you understand the platform and the people watching YouTube and how they're watching it.
Yeah, I want to wrap up a little bit here too. We have a couple things that we want to get to, and I want to start by just kind of recapping a little bit because I think that this is such an important lesson for all of us. This whole thing began because we started here. We started by shipping something that we were proud of. And by the way, this became the building block of our format for our show, which I described here. Oh, sorry, it's not here anymore because I closed the presentation, my bad. But you remember the thing where we talked about all of the the pre-show and things like that. Now, that format, right, allowed us to create videos that caught the algorithm. It let us understand that DJI was something that was going to be successful, which gave us a chance to start planning a video around that insight that we knew that our channel was going to be successful doing DJI videos. You brought up something really important, which is the idea of a suggestion engine. YouTube, more than anything else, is ranking videos. Before we talk about ranking in terms of search, now I'm thinking about ranking in terms of the suggestions, in terms of the algorithm. That is it's like a smaller bullseye. If you want to get to the center, you should aim for the center bullseye. And if you hit the outer ring, that's totally fine, right? But like, guess what? If you can hit that bullseye, then you're ready to go. If you're getting suggested, you will almost certainly be ranked if people are searching for the right things, in my mind. By the way, that's also true for AI engines as well. And what that allowed us to do is really double down on the whole process to get to the point where a video like this, the one that we posted, can get 12,000 views on a channel that had 400 subscribers at that time. And again, like you said, it's just the point. It's just the beginning. Now, even this here, the thing that you were bringing up about you and I sitting there in the kitchen working together, it also shows about what you said, the work that you had to do. And for us, it was about all of us putting in 100%, but also even more important than that, having everybody's eyeballs in there and testing things out amongst each other and everybody contributing everything that they saw. Because guess what? You're your first viewers, right? We are all the first people who are going to see these things and decide whether or not it'd be something that we would click on or watch. And so trust your instincts when you do that, and especially trust your team to give you their instincts as well. Now, you know that for those of you who are watching this, that we do this video, this format, there's a lot of strategy behind it. And one of the things that we do is we try and follow up on things, and we also try and answer questions that people are asking, and we clip these things out in order to find success. Really, really simple thing that Sean Cannell talks about in his Video Ranking Academy is answer simple questions. And guess what? No better way to do that than by going to the comment section. So let's go to the comment section of this video that we posted and answer some questions on this show, because guess what? It's a great way to wrap things up. The first one is a question from @Brian Gesser. This is the segment of the show, called AskCSP. This is from @Brian Gesser that says, I have so many issues using Osmo Pocket 3 for live streaming. It craps out after 20 to 30 minutes every time. I tried OBS, StreamYard, Meld. Any help on this? Well, you do live streams that are 1 hour, 2 hours, etc., multiple times a week. You set it up in 2 minutes. What do you use in order to make this work?
Ecamm. It's
sponsored, by the way.
Yeah. I'm surprised because literally the whole video we talk about Ecamm. Maybe I didn't do a good enough job of being like, we use Ecamm. We should have probably put a graphic, just so it was very, very clear right in front and center. But yeah, Brian.
Lessons learned.
Ecamm, it's the only way to go. And I know I say this with them sponsoring our live stream, but I've been using Ecamm before I was working with them. So it's the best.
And if you go back to the top of the show, for those of you who are watching this clip, go to our podcast and take a listen. We talk about all the ways we've used it. We did not have to use it for your daughter's play. It's not in our contract with Ecamm to do that, but we love Ecamm so much that we wanted to use it for your daughter's play.
We have the receipts.
We have the receipts.
Food, cooking live stream on my food vlog channel, proper podcast as you're watching right now, and everything in between. We've done remote. What's that? Oh, Summit, we didn't bring that up. So on my Seattle Crater Summit, we captured all the speakers with the 2 ob spots. And this is not even something really that Nouch does. He usually does cooking live streams or podcasts. So this is like a moving target, and it looked very pro. Yes, I will say, we got to plug in that audio.
We'll figure that out.
We didn't get the clean
audio.
We're
learning. Let's go to the next question. The next question is from @CertifiedCryptoBoy, who says, crazy that this showed up in my feed. I've been debating selling my Sony cameras and switching to 3 Osmos for my podcast. Should I do it?
Do it. Unless you're watching Sony, I'm still a fan, okay? You change our lives, so.
I think that there's a big asterisk to this, which is that and I think Doc commented on this and replied, which is that, the one thing that the Osmos don't have yet, but if you've been watching the show, you know that they might have it, is zoom, optical zoom. So you can definitely do it. You probably will lose some level of quality, potentially, depending on what you're doing. But it is totally possible and gives you some flexibility that we have been able to benefit from running this show in our terms.
I would say this. It depends on the Sony cameras. If they're DSLRs and you could potentially sell them and not only buy multiple Osmos, especially the Pocket 4 that's going to come out, and it can help you buy lighting or some other things. You're not going to get the crispy, what do you call that? Where it's depth of field. Bokeh,
yeah.
Feel from it. Depending, again, what kind of cameras you're using. If you're using some big glass like the G lens, right? Is that what it's called neutrally?
I don't know if our folks can hear neutrally, but yeah.
Are we all? Yeah, G Master lens. So, so this is not promoting the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 necessarily. What I would say is this: it is one of the greatest vlogging cameras, but I want to say the greatest camera of the last 3 or 4 years. It's that good, everything that it can do. So just know that I'm a huge fan of it. I personally think that we should, totally be using it for all types of content creation. And the cost, okay? Like my Sony A7S, I mean, literally it's like I don't know, it's like 5,000 between the body and the lens. That is whatever. So, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and answer another question on that. I'm going to pull it up because we don't have our screen right now. That's just because we forgot to plug something in. So
My bad.
That's okay. I'm going to
Like
go.
we said, new setup.
Go here. All right. So another one is, Maurice says Ecamm and DJI Osmo Pocket 3 are a match made in heaven. 100% agree. This one's kind of funny. I don't know, like if they say it.
We actually have a good one here. You
Go
wanna
do it. Do
yours?
the next one. Yeah, no, go.
Usually, if you don't
one.
mind pulling it up, I don't know if you have one where I didn't mess up the camera, but how many cameras can be plugged into Ecamm? Do you know the answer to this one?
Now, personally, all I care about is 2 cameras. But this is kind of a trick question in a way, because you know what is awesome about just Ecamm? Its ability to use any cameras. So we use 2 DJI Osmos right now for my cooking live streams, and it's totally fine. Especially with the new Pocket 4s, it's going to get upgraded. We might use the OBSpots as well. But we use the webcam as a third camera.
It's crazy.
I'm not going to get into all the PTZ functions, but the DJI Osmos already act like 10 different angles, even though it's only 2 devices, 2 cameras, okay? But then we have a third option of the webcam. The fourth option, I don't even know if we were going to talk about this. We didn't even talk about it in the live stream.
I know.
I don't even think, right? In the live stream
the
setup video.
yeah.
My fourth angle is my app. It's a Rode NDI app, which connects through either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I don't even really care. It's one of those 2. And it connects immediately. So in that case, right now for sure, we know this because we use it, 4 cameras. But it's not the cameras you think it is. It's not like 4 proper cameras. It's 2 actual cameras and then a webcam camera, which again on Apples are getting crazier.
I know.
And my phone, which is probably the best one in terms of its like just general quality and the fact that it's mobile, you guys. Mobile. So I want to just say 2 for sure, but you can get 4 cameras with a 2 plugged in setup like mine.
One of the things that Doc replied in there was that we don't read cameras, we read Mac OS. We can see the right equipment, and the answer is unlimited. The most I've seen is 18 using high-end SDI capture cards, which is just crazy to think about.
So another thing about Ecamm, it is a professional live stream setup software.
But that's easy to use if you want it to be.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is we're trying to make it very accessible for people. Because I work with a lot of creators who don't want to use 18 different cameras.
I know.
They might not even want to use more than 1 or 2, but you have the option to go up. That's not usually the case. You usually kind of pick one or the other. The spectrum of the possibilities are pretty wild.
Next question from @WolfMedialMaging. Fun fact: you don't need the mic receiver. DJI connects wirelessly to the Pocket with DJI Osmo audio. I guess it's not a question; it's a comment. But I wanted to bring it up because we had an issue with this, which is that when we started doing that, we would notice a delay in audio, and so we like to really plug in the receiver separately because it acts as a separate stream, just gives us a little bit more control. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we just did the experimenting for you. I love the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I wish I could just call it one thing. Pocket 3? What should I call it? I don't know. And I love it because the microphones are so clutch. I was just vlogging at Costco today, and the fact that I don't need a receiver for it because the microphone connects directly into the camera is amazing. So we thought the same thing for live streams. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, when you do a long live stream, it actually happens near the beginning. The delay in audio usually, like right off the get-go, which is annoying. So no, you cannot, based off of what we're experiencing. You do want the receiver if you're going to use the DJI mics, which we do use to make it really easy because I don't have to have another thing. That's just my gear that I use for my vlogging. I can use it for my live stream. The one difference is I do have to use a receiver, and that's beyond me why, but we do plug that into another USB-C connection on the computer.
Getting close to the end here. The next one is from @thelearningmachine5740. Next update. Hey guys, check out my new equipment. It does everything I want and I don't need a producer. I fired Nouch after he introduced it to me. Also, he's muted today, so he can't speak for himself. So sorry, Nouch. It was nice knowing you. Let me answer some real questions here.
Never, ever. By the way, I've been working with Nouch forever, but one thing I love about him and just what we do, we are very practical. If we don't need something, we get rid of it. If we can simplify it, and the whole like inspiration for the video, I don't know if this is part of the same section. We wanted the thumbnail to be like $20,000 worth of gear, $2,000 worth of gear. We didn't even go that direction, by the way. That's what a working title is, working idea is. But the reason I bring it up is, gear I think is overrated. Honestly, as a creator, one of the things that I'm really proud of is the fact my wife has edited 4,500 vlogs and she's got over 1.3 billion views, basically on her own, okay? But she never cared about the gear. She just wanted a camera that works. She never even wants to wait for me to set up the light when like it makes sense to have lighting. She's like, I'd rather have crappy lighting and just do it and not wait for anything, okay? So you can replace upgrade gear, downgrade gear. You can't replace people.
Yeah.
Okay. He's had so much experience with me. He knows me. I said like he's even working with, I'm not going to say, but like a big, like company, let's just say doing broadcasts, like professional live stream kind of stuff. And I'm like, yo, we're going to work with you no matter what. Just that instinct thing. And just the way I do live streams, I do want a producer operating everything so I can just focus on the content. So that wouldn't happen. But it was funny when I read the comment because I didn't know if they were being sarcastic or they were like literally saying like, yeah, that's like the next step. Now, with that being said, though, you don't need a Nouch.
Yeah.
You don't need a second person, whether you're using Ecamm or just using your phone to live stream. And you got to start where you can start. I'm just, privileged to be able to do this with a team, and it really helps for where I'm at right now. But say I was like starting from zero and I had zero budget. I had my phone. I'm not waiting for nothing. I'm just going live, which I want to do. If you want to go on multiple platforms, I'm spending the money for Ecamm, using my laptop and my phone. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, yeah.
With NDI Rode or the Rode NDI app, you're off to the races with just your webcam, your phone. You got two angles. You can use the Ecamm. So yeah, it's easier than you think.
Last two comments that we got from @In a Flash Network in a Flash Pro 918 with Ecamm. Can you record without going live? Can you record without going live? I don't know if those are two separate questions or just one, but as we talked about at the top of the show, yes. And actually we did that for your daughter's play, right? And actually we also did that for the Seattle Creator Summit. That's actually why Ecamm rebranded to Ecamm instead of Ecamm Live, because guess what? They're more than just a thing to go live. They're also a really easy way to just create content. And with dual mode, their new feature that lets you create a specific vertical version of all of these things, it's a great way to create two types of content with one recording session, which is just crazy to even think about.
Yeah. So yeah, just use Ecamm for everything.
Sponsor. And yes, use the link in the show notes as well as our code BenjiTV15. They're really awesome. Final question. Wish you could have gone over the hookup process, camera/audio to computer to Ecamm. This is more of a teaser than a question. I think that we should do this video, but the basics are really straightforward. Open up Ecamm, log in, plug in your DJIs, plug in your receiver, done.
Boom.
We end these shows with a final segment recently with letters to a young creator from the Steve Jobs archive. This one I'm going to read from Paola Antonelli, who's an Italian-born design curator and senior curator of architecture and design at the Museum of Modern Art. She's known for elevating design as a critical cultural discipline, including curating influential exhibitions and advocating for the inclusion of digital and interactive design in media and museum collections. Here's what she had to say. Dear friend, I wish I could write this message as coming from a future where things are bright and peaceful. Imagine the steps to get there and pass on those directions and specs to you. But there's no single path, and there are lots of directions we can take. Things ripple, splinter, and change. That's why your role now, dreaming, envisioning, speaking truth to power, warning, problem solving, and stirring things up is so crucial. Even if things don't go as planned, which they rarely do, your attitude prepares you to ride the waves. I often compare the creative process and my own career to surfing. It's about patience, instinct, commitment, and luck. When you start any creative journey, you crave movement toward a goal. You paddle out, but progress isn't fully in your control. It's partly about your effort and partly about dealing with the unpredictable waves. Eventually, you realize your efforts are paying off and you're in position. You're waiting for the perfect wave. At that point, you're both relaxed and excited. You're not just aiming to get back to shore, but to ride and savor the wave. Each ride can be amazing, risky, energizing, or even disappointing. No matter what happens, each attempt hones your skills. You'll adjust your techniques and methods based on experience and the ever-changing environment. While you might want to jump at the first opportunity, it's smart to pause and check your position. By respecting those ahead, you pay your dues and get a feel for the timing. This way, you earn respect and goodwill while waiting for an even better chance. Opportunities can be unpredictable, but one thing's for sure, another wave is always coming. Now, more than ever, creativity is vital for our survival and growth. It keeps us grounded in our lives when society faces challenges. Hang in there. I believe in you. Sincerely, Paola Antonelli. Benji, any thoughts to close us out?
Go do it.
Thanks to our sponsor, Ecamm, your Max Creative Studio. You can learn more about Ecamm in the link in the show notes, and you can get 15% off your whole purchase, your first purchase. That means the entire year if you do the yearly plan, and support the show with our code BenjiTV15. It really helps the show. And of course, we think that it's just a great product. As always, thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy, and thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.